Last month I read a lot of pirate books, and you know what? I'm not even burnt out on them. Hey everyone, my name is April. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to if you've never been here before. Last month I participated in the Once Upon a Readathon, and I read nothing but pirate books. You didn't have to do that, but I was on Team Pirates. We won. Yay! And I thought I was going to kind of jump around books. However, I got a whole bunch of pirate books and I just kept reading them over and over and over again, and I love them. And then you add romance on top of that, and I was like in pirate heaven, okay? I overall read like 12 or 13 books, and I think, you know, only one of them wasn't a pirate book. So let's wrap up what I read last month in June and see if maybe you can find some favorite pirate books too. Of course, my readathon started out with a bang. I have a new all-time favorite. I absolutely love this book and I've been raving about it everywhere. You know what I'm gonna say. A Ship of Bones and Teeth by Karina Halley. This is a Dark Little Mermaid retelling in which her name's not Ariel, Marin is a mermaid, and she makes a very stupid deal with the Sea Witch when she's 16 to marry Prince Eric. And 10 years later, we find out that Eric has been incredibly abusive to her and she wants nothing else to do with him anymore. She wants to find the Sea Witch again to go back to the ocean where she is missing all her family and friends. Her ship is taken over by pirates and she is held captive along with Prince Eric on this pirate ship, and she meets Captain Ramsay. This was brutal. It was gruesome in parts. There are so many vivid scenes that I can absolutely picture and that I want art of. I did a whole reading vlog, which was obviously, this was the star of that reading vlog. It was just great. It was everything that I love in a fantasy romance. This was it. Marin is a monster. She's a monster. This is a monster romance. And Captain Ramsay is completely intrigued by her monster side. And the more she shows of it, the more he just falls completely head over heels in love with her. And I just absolutely ate this up. I loved every single bit of it. I've tried to have all my friends read this book. Some of them have DNF'd it. Some of them love it. Some of them are just okay with it. But this is my catnip, okay? So yeah, 5 stars, all-time favorite. Absolutely loved it. The next one I read had a lot of potential, but I just think it wasn't fully realized for me, and that was Sea of Darkness by Isadora Brown and Rebecca Hamilton. This is a story about a vampire pirate, which sounds amazing, but I don't even remember anything about this story really. You have vampire pirates who can't go on land, and then she's hunting them. And there was a lot of political things in there that just really didn't like mesh well. And I honestly don't even remember most of the story. I gave it 3 stars. Like, I remember it being okay, but I didn't even write a Goodreads review on it. So I really can't tell you much about it. Vampire pirates, and it was more on the YA side. There was no steamy bits in it really that I can remember. But it seemed like something was building maybe with the relationship. I know there is more books, but meh. And then after that, I read a total whim of a book that I saw on Scribd. It was like a 2-hour audiobook, so I was like, this is perfect for a readathon, and it's called Bright Gay Seas, and this is by Guy New York. What's going on in this book is that the hero, when his dad is drunk, he sneaks off to have a tryst with another boy in town. His father finds out and drags him by the ear down to the docks and sells him to a boat full of pirates. However, as soon as the pirates leave the harbor, they start hoisting that rainbow flag, and it turns out his dad wasn't getting rid of him. His dad was just having him find his place. And it just ended up being this really adorable, cute, gay rom-com pirate romance that I really was just so unexpected for me. Novella length. Don't expect too much for it, but it made my heart just be like soaring. Like my heart was just like fluttering because it was so adorable and I really loved it. It was more like a found family type of romance. I loved that one as well. And then after that, I read Captive of the Pirate King. This is by Rebecca F. Kinney, and this is another one of my favorites of the month. This story starts out with a bang. Right away, the ship is being overrun by pirates and like the cannons are going off back and forth. And you have a heroine who is absolutely scrambling to get out of her dress and to dress up like a cabin boy. One of my favorite tropes. And she cuts her hair off because she knows that if they find her as a woman, they will throw her overboard. They do not take women as prisoners, and she doesn't want to do that. But she's taken captive on the pirate ship, and the Pirate King takes a liking to her. In this book, I did feel like certain parts of it were a little long, a little slow, but overall, I really enjoyed this story so much that I want to read more from Rebecca F. Kinney in this series and even other books. She has tons of fantasy romance books, and this was pretty steamy too. I really, really enjoyed it. I highly recommend this book, and then also check out some other ones from her, or if there's some other ones from her that you think I should read, please let me know in the comments below. Then I read The Lady and the Pirate. This is by another author that I have never read from. It's by Bernadette Rowley. This was a book 6, which it didn't seem like a book 6. Like, I don't think you needed to read the other books in the series to get this one. It was all about, like, the beginning of this was a treasure hunt. It was a treasure hunt and it was so fun. I really loved that part of the book, but then it never went back to it. And also, very low steam, which is fine, but there were so many interconnected storylines that nothing really grabbed me about this book, and it read more fantasy romance than historical romance. With this cover, I thought it was going to be more historical romance, but no, it wasn't. Yeah, again, I wrote very little in my Goodreads review, so when that happens, it's more of like, you know, it's gonna be a 3-star. Like, I can write a lot about bad books and I can write a lot about good books, but when it's just like a meh story, like I end up going, yeah, this is cool, it was all right. Moving on. And then another 3-star, I seem to have read like a bunch of 3-stars in a row. This was Kidnapped by the Pirate, and this is by Kira Andrews. I did have a lot of hopes for this one, so it just kind of more let me down. Again, this is a male-male romance, pirate romance, and again, about like self-discoveries, discovering your sexuality type of story. I am not quite into those, really. I just want to see gay people be happy already, not like discovering they're happy. I don't know. And then I really liked the relationship between the two men in this, but the story just kind of was just, the plot was dull. It was just dull. There was nothing to hold my attention to it. There wasn't really any angst between the characters, and I don't know. It needs to the story needs to take me somewhere in order for me to really enjoy it. I am a plot-driven person, and I like a snappy plot, and when it just kind of meanders a little bit and gets really introspective, I just lose interest. I like deep feelings, but let's make them quick, okay? I don't have time for that. I don't have patience for that. And then sadly, this is one of my DNFs of the month that I got pretty far in, but then ultimately DNF'd because, again, the plot was just not going anywhere. And this is Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee. I really want to read the Greenbone saga by this author, but I thought since this is a novella, I'd try it first. And while I loved the action and the monsters in this, it's like a owl bird monster type thing, and then they're kind of like chariot riders, almost like sky chariot riders. I feel like all it did was describe like how the animals move and how they got into the chariots. 40% on, I feel like there was absolutely no story, like nothing. There was no plot other than just this person is going to get into this chariot and this is their bird thing that's swooping down to do something else, and that was it. So I got really over it. I don't even remember the characters' names or even the monsters' names. I just remember it's a bird thing. So it just wasn't for me, unfortunately. and I moved on to the next one very quickly. The next one also was another one of my favorites, and it's a new favorite author of mine, No Rest for the Wicked by Lauren Smith. This is a book that wasn't on Kindle Unlimited, but I did end up buying the ebook of it because I couldn't find it anywhere else. I gave it 4 stars. Again, this is like the cabin boy trope. This was just so great. You have Roberta, who, again, their ship is being overrun by pirates and they dress up like cabin boys. But in this one, right away, the captain knows that there's a ruse going on here, and her lady's maid kind of gives it away as well. But the captain decides to keep their secret in exchange for the lady's maid to be the chef and Roberta to be his cabin boy. And she is the best gosh darn cabin boy that ever lived. Like, she is just having the time of her life because her father was a naval captain and she never got to do all the fun stuff on the ships. She was just on the ship all the time. So she's out there in the rigging and all that kind of stuff, and it's really great. She's having a blast. Also in this story, you have Dominic, who is the hero, and his backstory is like so heartbreaking, and I really felt the romance between these two characters, and I really just enjoyed it. There's also another side character who is the best friend of Dominic. And at some point I thought it would be a throuple situation, but it wasn't. However, Nicholas, his book is next, and I really want to read that. This book was angsty and methodical without being slow, and I just absolutely loved it. 4 stars, one of my top faves of the month. So the next book I read after that is called The Sailor Song by Daria Vernon, who is one of my favorite new authors that I've read. This is only like a 90-pager, but it's kind of like a horror romance. And Moray is in a little dinghy rowing towards this island that there's supposed to be treasure on. Well, he's being used as bait by his crew. If you hear squeals, the cats are playing. Oh, I'm cat sitting a kitten, and he is just going crazy right now. They're fine. They're just being boys. And so as he's rowing, he's singing, and his song actually mesmerizes the mermaid that is after him. She was gonna eat him, and then she kind of is like all intrigued by him and his song. She's like, please sing more. And she takes him to the island. They fall in love and do all the kind of things. And as the other pirate crew comes onto the island, he's like, go kill them for me. And she does. So this was like a really like interesting story, and especially for 90 pages, I like just had a really good entertaining time with it. I thought it was pretty gruesome and brutal, and I've been loving those stories lately as well. So 4 stars for this one. I really enjoyed it. So after that great book, I read an absolute train wreck. This is Under Pirate Cove Academy. Oh boy, it is a white choose book that has to deal with mermaids and pirates in this school. And the school's whole job is to help mermaids kind of harness their powers, and pirates cannot die from their power, so that's their whole thing of being there. Like, they can all have fun together, and yet the pirate won't die. However, this book is literally just it's just a sex school. That's it. It's a sex school for mermaids and pirates, and it wasn't even a good one. You would turn a corner in this school and somebody would be having a sexual act right there in front of everybody. It was ridiculous. Like, the whole thing was very Mean Girls too. In this book, threats of sexual assault was used as kind of like a turn on in many ways, and I just, that never is a thing that I like, honestly. Like, if you're gonna threaten me with sexual assault, I don't think that's sexy. So it just really turned me off of the whole thing. Definitely had some great potential to be a ridiculous book that I would have liked, but unfortunately I gave it 2 stars. If you hear cats fighting, it's this one, okay? This is my new fur nephew, and he's a pill. He's a cute pill. And he meows a lot. No, you're gonna go the other room, okay? Because you're ruining my video. I literally just talked about a book with cat fights in it, and I don't need a real one in my house. After that, I read another 3-star, which unfortunately I didn't like this more. I wanted to. This was a recommendation by Maggie from Maggie's Books and Stuff. It's called The Pirate Prince by Galen Foley. This one felt, I think if fantasy lovers would really like this one because it had some pretty epic fantasy political intrigue going on. I just, in the end, I didn't really like the romance of it, part of it. I thought the things that he would say to her was pretty cringy almost. And again, he was using a lot of like sexual assault as sexual innuendo. And I just don't find that sexy. I just don't. So the fantasy part of it and the like, it's like over the top dramatic book. And I liked those aspects of it. So I really I liked the book. I just didn't end up loving it because of the romance part of it. So, oh well. After that, I read Escape the Sea. This is by G. Bailey. This is more of a YA white choose, and it was so refreshing. So refreshing after that Pirate Cove Academy book. Because all the pirates in here are actual gentlemen. Like, it was just so nice to see, and I think that's what made me like this most. It is a novella. No, yeah, it is a novella. It was only 260 pages. So I was really loving the shorter books for this readathon. Nothing really stood out to me by this. You have a girl who goes on a pirate ship and all of these different pirates are on there. She has some kind of a special ability, and if the boys kiss her, then it unlocks some more. So one of the things that I didn't like about this is that it is a way choose. However, she's only with one guy by the end of the first book. So I think subsequent books she's gonna, get with the other guys, but I just don't like that. If it's gonna be a white choose, it should all be like multiple people in one, okay? And this ended up being just a 3-star for me. But after that really sweet white choose, we went for a very saucy white choose, and this is called Arrival, and it's by Minerva Caden. This is totally 90% smut, like honestly, it really is, but it was really good. And honestly, it was like one of those where it's like kind of like a portal fantasy. She's pulled into this world from the real world, and they all have to marry her and have sex with her in order to get their pirate powers back because their land is dying. It made sense, okay? Even though there was that much plot, it made sense. Each of the partners in the White Choose novel kind of like one-upped each other from the last one, but I still really enjoyed all of the partners. Like, they all had their own kinks, they all felt very unique, and they all had their own ideals in it. So I actually really kind of enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars for a all smut no plot type of thing. It was a good one. And then my last pirate book that I read was Against Dark Tides by Claire Sager. This is the second book to Beneath Black Sails, which I read earlier this year, I think. And this one is definitely the angsty book. So in the first book, you're following the same couple for 3 or 4 books, and in this one, they're separated and they hate each other again. They hated each other in the start of the first one, things happened, and then things happened again, and now we're right back at square one. Only they hate each other even more, and they each have all of this stuff that they need to work through in this one in order to find their way back together. And I will say the end of this book ends in a HFN, not an HEA. So, which I'm okay with when they're like a series with the same couple. Like, I'm fine with that. But I did think this one was more introspective with the characters. Very slow, like honestly a little bit too slow for me. I ended up giving it 3 stars because I think it was still really good, and I actually really still want to continue on with the series. I think Claire Sager is a really great fantasy romance author, and I'm looking forward to see what happens with these characters. And then the last book that I read that wasn't a pirate romance is Obsession. This is the first book in the Mate Games series, and it is by Kayla Rain and Meg Ann. Whoo, okay, this is another White Choose book. And this is a White Choose at like a paranormal Hogwarts type school. And She has to decide between one of these men in order to stop the apocalypse from happening. So it's one of those, and it's bonkers. It's fun. Like, all of the lines in it felt very like lines from True Blood, which I love that show. I love how ridiculous it is. And the men are a vampire, a wolf shifter, a demigod, and a priest daddy. And I don't think I have to tell you which one I like the most. Especially since the priest daddy is Irish. The audiobook is fantastic. It's a full cast narration. It's really good. I gave it 5 stars. I just had the best time with this. We're actually doing a read along with Maggie and Hannah and a bunch of other people. And I think there's gonna be another live show on Sunday for that. So please check out Maggie's channel if you're interested in reading the series. But I highly, highly, highly suggest it if you just want something wildly entertaining. We're gonna be reading book 2. We're actually going to start book 2 on Sunday. So please join us and check it out. But anyways, that's my entire month of June. I had an absolute blast reading all these pirate romances, even though I definitely had some ups and downs. Like, each of them had their own moments though, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm not burnt out on pirate romances at all. It's still one of my favorite types of books to read. For some reason, I just really love them. They're so adventurous, and the whole treasure hunting aspect and the darkness to it, and I can't get enough. In fact, I'm gonna read more of them very soon. Let me know if you've read any of these, especially if you've read A Ship of Bones and Teeth. Good or bad, I don't care. Please talk to me about that book. I wanna know everything that you thought about it. So leave a comment in this video if you have, and if not, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.